A war without end. The state of the conflict in October 2024. The war in Ukraine grinds on. It has been over 600 days since Russia launched its full-scale invasion in February 2022. The conflict has become a bloody stalemate. Both sides are locked in a bitter struggle. There is no end in sight. Hopes for a negotiated settlement remain dim. The conflict has intensified geopolitical rivalries. The war has also had a devastating impact on Ukraine. Millions of people have been displaced from their homes. The conflict has also raised fears of a wider war in Europe. The use of nuclear weapons by Russia is a real threat. This would have catastrophic consequences for the entire world. The international community continues to provide support to Ukraine. However, it remains to be seen whether this will be enough to change the course of the war. The coming months will be critical in determining the future of Ukraine. They will also shape the security order of Europe and the world. Shifting sands, current military standoff and key battlegrounds. The front line in Ukraine stretches for hundreds of miles. It is a dynamic battlefield. The situation can change rapidly. As of October 2024, the key battlegrounds are concentrated in the south and east of the country. In the south, Ukrainian forces are attempting to liberate the Kherson region. This region is vital for Russia's control of the Crimean Peninsula. The fighting in the south is fierce, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. The eastern Donbas region remains the epicenter of the conflict. Russian forces are trying to capture the entirety of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions. They have made some limited gains in recent months. However, Ukrainian forces are putting up stiff resistance. The use of drones and other advanced weaponry has become increasingly important in the conflict. Both sides are using these technologies to target enemy positions and infrastructure. Section 4, A Divided World, International Response and Support. The international community's response to the war in Ukraine has been divided. Western countries have condemned Russia's invasion. They have imposed unprecedented sanctions on the Russian economy. They have also provided billions of dollars in military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine. However, other countries, such as China and India, have taken a more neutral stance. They have refrained from condemning Russia's actions. They have also continued to trade with Russia. The war has exposed the fault lines in the international system. It has also raised questions about the future of global governance. The United Nations has been largely ineffective in addressing the conflict. This is due to Russia's veto power in the Security Council. The war has also led to a strengthening of alliances. NATO has expanded its presence in Eastern Europe. This is in response to the perceived threat from Russia. Section 5. The price of war. Economic impacts on Ukraine and Russia. The war in Ukraine has had a profound impact on the economies of both countries, creating a ripple effect that extends far beyond their borders. Ukraine's economy has been devastated, with countless businesses shuttered and industrial production coming to a near standstill. The World Bank estimates that its economy will contract by over 45% in 2022, a staggering figure that underscores the severity of the situation. The destruction of infrastructure and the displacement of millions of people have had a crippling effect, making recovery an uphill battle. Russia's economy has also been hit hard by the war, facing its own set of challenges. Western sanctions have cut off Russia from key financial markets, isolating it from the global economy. They have also restricted its access to technology and goods, leading to significant disruptions in various sectors. The sanctions have had a significant impact on the Russian economy, causing widespread financial instability. They have caused a sharp decline in the value of the ruble, further exacerbating economic woes. They have also led to a surge in inflation, making everyday goods more expensive for ordinary Russians. However, the long-term impact of the sanctions remains to be seen as the situation continues to evolve. The war has also disrupted global energy markets, creating uncertainty and volatility. Russia is a major exporter of oil and gas, and any disruption in its supply has far-reaching consequences. Western sanctions have led to a spike in energy prices worldwide, affecting both consumers and industries. This has had a significant impact on consumers and businesses in many countries, driving up costs and squeezing budgets. The war has also disrupted global food supplies, adding another layer of complexity to the crisis. Ukraine and Russia are both major exporters of wheat and other grains, and their conflict has created a bottleneck in global food distribution. The conflict has led to a shortage of these commodities, making it difficult for many countries to secure essential food supplies. This has caused food prices to rise sharply around the world, putting additional strain on households and economies. The economic consequences of the war are likely to be felt for many years to come, as both Ukraine and Russia, along with the global community, grapple with the fallout. Section 6. A foggy future. Possible scenarios and their implications. As of October 2024, the future of the war in Ukraine remains uncertain. The conflict has dragged on for years, with no clear end in sight. The situation on the ground is fluid, and the political landscape is equally unpredictable. Several possible scenarios could unfold in the coming months and years. Each scenario carries its own set of implications and consequences, not just for Ukraine and Russia, but for the entire world. Scenario 1, continued stalemate. The most likely scenario is a continuation of the current stalemate. Both sides are deeply entrenched, and neither has the military capacity to achieve a decisive victory. Neither side has the military capacity to achieve a decisive victory. The front lines have barely moved in months, and both armies are exhausted. The conflict could drag on for months or even years. This prolonged engagement would drain resources, strain economies, and continue to cause immense human suffering. This would result in continued human suffering and economic hardship for both Ukraine and Russia. Civilians would bear the brunt of the conflict, facing displacement, loss of livelihood, and psychological trauma. Scenario 2, negotiated settlement. Another possibility is a negotiated settlement to the conflict. Diplomatic efforts could lead to a ceasefire and eventually a peace agreement. However, the prospects for a negotiated solution remain dim. Both sides have deeply entrenched positions and mutual distrust, making meaningful dialogue challenging. Both sides have set preconditions for talks that seem irreconcilable. Ukraine demands the withdrawal of Russian forces, while Russia insists on recognition of its territorial gains. Scenario 3, escalation and wider war, a less likely but still possible scenario, is an escalation of the conflict. This could involve new offensives and broader regional involvement. Russia could launch new offensives. These attacks could be more intense and widespread, aiming to break the current deadlock. It could target NATO countries. Such actions would provoke a strong response from NATO, potentially leading to a broader conflict. This could lead to a wider war in Europe. The involvement of additional countries would escalate the conflict, making it even more difficult to resolve. Scenario 4. Use of nuclear weapons. The most dangerous scenario is the use of nuclear weapons by Russia. This would be a catastrophic escalation with global repercussions. While this remains a remote possibility, it cannot be entirely ruled out. The use of nuclear weapons would change the nature of the conflict and have devastating consequences. The consequences of a nuclear war would be catastrophic. The immediate loss of life would be immense, and the long-term environmental and health impacts would be severe. The international community must work to prevent any of these scenarios from unfolding. Diplomatic efforts, economic sanctions, and international pressure are crucial. It is essential to continue to provide support to Ukraine. Humanitarian aid, military assistance, and economic support are vital to help Ukraine withstand the ongoing conflict. It is also important to maintain pressure on Russia to end the war. Sanctions and diplomatic isolation can help to weaken Russia's resolve and bring them to the negotiating table. The future of Ukraine, and indeed of Europe, hangs in the balance. The outcome of this conflict will shape the geopolitical landscape for years to come. The coming months and years will be crucial in determining the outcome of this conflict. The actions taken by the international community and the resilience of the Ukrainian people will play a decisive role in shaping the future.